If you were a fan of EZO or 80s metal, or let's say the broader world of Gene Simmons, then this video is for you. So what I don't remember, Gary, is did you introduce me to these guys?
Once again, much like King's X, this fills that bucket where it's going, I'm introducing something to you. Yes, that is true.
I thought it was that you had introduced them to me. And when I remember when I first heard this, though, that the guitar hook at the beginning of House of a Thousand Pleasures, I had heard that before.
Yeah, because that was part of Headbangers Ball.
It was in some
one of those.
It was in some heavy metal show, but I think it was a radio show. Okay. And you hear that. I can't. I'll think of it in a second. But anyway, I'd hear that thing. Right. Because it was such. It was like riff. The most iconic, amazing guitar riff, one of the greatest ever. I don't know that there's anything better than that. It was just.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so.
Well,
great.
and the irony is. Yeah. And anyway, and that's a retooled riff that they used from a previous song in their Japanese incarnation as Flatbacker. That when they decided to do this, as I'm sure bands do, what do you bring to the table? Oh, I got this. Well, but that song's all in Japanese. It's basically the same. They retooled a little bit of the middle section, but it's the same riff. It's so good.
It's a great riff. The guitar tone is perfect. The riff is amazing. And the song is one of those... Okay, one of the great things about this album, this is EZO's debut album.
Yes, in the States, because they got rebranded.
They were, as you said, which I actually, weirdly, man, I didn't even know that till a few years ago, that there was actually a previous version of this band. I think it was somebody on one of these channels. I talked about them, and somebody said, blah, 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 Flatbacker, right. And I come to you, and you're like, yes? And I go, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, because you're thinking, okay, I got into them when they first came out due to the Gene Simmons thing, right?
Yeah.
Because he produced
the album.
This album. And so I just kind of like, okay, anything kind of that, these guys got to be good, right? And, during that era, you had some pretty good Japanese bands out there. Loudness
was definitely one of them.
And a couple others that were out there. And so I'm like, oh, Gene's going to have, the Midas touch, And so I bought it. Had no idea what I was getting into. Zero. And this has become, EZO/Flatbacker has become one of Gary, my favorite, not to talk in the third person, but these are one of, you talk about near and dear bands that, like the Cult and stuff for you. EZO is one of them for me. They just are so great on so many levels. To me, they're up there in musicianship, like with Metallica and some others. And people might disagree with that, but I don't think you put these four guys next to, Kirk, Lars, and those guys. Chops are right there. I mean, they're awesome. And then, look, his vocals on this, it just keeps, just start adding all these different things. And, I get goosebumps kind of talking about it because they are that good. That good. Now, you can kind of go back in their history and listen to some of the Flatbacker stuff or this or Fire that came after this. But this is the mainstream, like, okay, we're out of Japan and Gene's kind of putting some money behind us, making this happen. And that's what we're talking about today. And so I introduced this to you, because you were like, what are you listening to? EZO. And you were like, what?
And one of the most amazing things about this album is how easy it is to get it. Because there's a lot of albums over the years I would listen to, and the first pass I was like, okay. And then the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, okay, I really, really love this.
Right.
This is one of those that the moment that needle goes down and you hear that first thing, you just go, I love this. I love this. I love it. I love it.
Right.
House of a Thousand Pleasures. House of a Thousand Pleasures. The opening guitar riff, when the bass kicks in and the drum kicks in, and then when he starts singing, I open up my eyes and see the rain. I'm like, dude, I could never do it. No human being could sing the way he does that tune.
It's so
good.
And for those of you, I mean, we might be talking about this. You guys like, what the hell? What is this band?
Yeah.
This guy is like, he's got like a growly voice, but incredible range. So it's like he can sing low and it's like growly, right? And then he's got this high end that you're like, whoa, where's that coming from? And he's great.
And it is, and it's rock solid, all of it.
And he's rock solid. And I think it's also, I want to say, in one of my deep dives into EZO, I think he was like classically trained vocalist in Japan by some academy out there or something to that effect. Again, I don't remember things quite as clear as this guy does, but it's to something like that. And you guys that might follow them might know, but it shows because the guy's awesome.
Yeah. And I had it on CD, and then I found this I probably a long time ago at some used record store. That's why I bought it. That's why it has like it is a promotional copy or something. Because this was in the age of CDs by the time.
Right.
And so half the stuff I was buying was on CD anyway, and this was one of them. But anyway, so I picked up a vinyl version of it, and this cover confused me at first. Like, what the heck am I looking at? Until you realize that this is a couple of hands
coming together with some sort of like.
I love
it's artistic.
The weird, yes, I love the weird artsy way that they do not just the cover. And they also have this little kind of interesting thing down in the corner.
Yeah, like
that's part of the makeup
emblem. Yeah,
that looks like part of the makeup. But this here, it was so not Kiss. And I don't know how to describe that other than they weren't creating characters. They weren't creating, it was all this really weird artsy thing that they're just putting, like, it's a little bit more like war paint.
Right.
Than a character. It had that, there was something about it that was so, because I remember looking at this the first time going, dude, this feels like way beyond Kiss stuff. This is some totally different, even though it's all makeup.
Right.
Because think of how many groups you see today where these guys will go up on stage and they do this kind of stuff where they just put makeup all over their face.
I mean, think about Ghost, Slipknot. I mean,
yeah, it is happens.
They're whole different.
All the, even groups that, I mean, there's just so many people that do that now, and these guys had that. This was not Kiss type makeup. This was not hair metal, Dee Snider type makeup. This is war paint.
Yeah, well, it goes back, right? I think part of it's cultural, right? I think it's kind of a nod to the. Forgive me if I pronounce any of this wrong, but it's like the kabuki makeup, that Japanese warriors would wear, or whatever the case, however they did it. And I think it's a nod to that. They did it a little bit as Flatbacker, not to this extent, but that's where I've seen it. They have. I think it's an album called EZO, ESO, and it's basically the singer Masaki, and he's just got this like down low kind of thing. So this is kind of expanded on that, but it's so good.
It is.
It again, you got the Gene influence, so you got, is this kind of a tie-in, or did Gene tell him to do that? No, I think it's a collaboration of where they're at, what they're coming from, the marketing of it, because you look at this, these guys all look individual and cool.
Hang on just a second, this will be really quick. With hundreds of videos on our channel now, we've made playlists to make it easy for you to find whatever the thing is that you're interested in. We have a playlist with all of our Rush videos, Kiss, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen. We have categories like 80s metal and even our popular magazine flip-throughs, where we go through page by page with Circus Magazine, Hit Parader, and others, all in 4K resolution. You'll find it all organized and ready to explore. Just click the playlist tab on our channel's homepage. All right, back to the video.
Which I'm into. So I'm like winning, okay, right? All the way through here.
Yeah, because it's the crazy makeup and the crazy hair. And not just hairspray hair or hair metal stuff. I mean this stuff.
Yeah,
where it's like unrelated. It's like this has nothing to do with what was going on at the time.
Which, again, makes it fresh, right? Because we're talking, this came out late 80s.
87. I thought,
right?
Yeah, 87.
And so, nothing else out there, first of all, sounded like them, in my opinion. And, because they're super heavy. And, I mean, again, the vocals, you start putting it all together, and it's like, I'm interested to hear, like, what the reviews were. Because it's heavier than what was happening at the time here in the States, for sure. Mm-hmm. And then when you listen to the Flatbacker stuff, it's as heavy and kind of almost punky. Punk in the sense of the speed of it. It's pretty wild, because you think about, like, Metallica and Megadeth and the bands that were coming out that were fast. There's some of this on, like Desiree on here. I mean,
this is what I wished Loudness would have been, because Loudness got more press and got more popular,
without a doubt. Yeah,
and I bought their stuff, but I thought this was
so much
better. way better.
Yeah,
so much better than Loudness, and it always confused me. Like, why is it?
And more original.
Loudness really did. I liked them, by the way, I did, but it almost felt like guys trying to be 80s metal. Like, hey, we're trying to be an American 80s metal band, which is fine, and they were fine, and they were good. Akira Takasagi is a great guitarist. I can't remember the guy's singer. He was good. They're a fine band.
Right.
I saw them in concert. I mean, I have their stuff. But if we're going to talk about bands that were coming in from Japan, they didn't even come close to this, in my opinion. This album, because you start going down the list, House of a Thousand Pleasures, the first time you hear it, you go, this is one of my favorite songs in the world, and it's the first time I've heard it. Right. I mean, it's that great. Flashback Heart Attack is a solid killer tune. Mr. Midnight is brutal.
It's brutal and just awesome, right?
Yeah.
And listen, I mean, you guys can, if you have Spotify, I want you, this is my pledge to ask of you guys. I want you to listen to this, because it's that good. We're not just, saying it. It really is. Because they weren't mainstream. Also makes it cool. Yeah. But you got to take a listen and be like, okay, you guys are out of your mind, or holy hell, these guys, you are awesome. And you should be a fan. Should have them on your follow list on Spotify, or pick up this album. I picked up this album this January, 2 months ago, or now almost 3 months ago. It was in a record store in Washington, D.C. when I was visiting my daughter out there. I was like, and she's like, why'd you gasp? I'm like, holy crap, EZO is here. Like, vinyl. And I'm like, and she's like, no, with the gasp like that, you got to buy it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I did.
Twist my arm.
Yeah. Don't have to twist my arm, because it's that good. It's that good.
It is. And I'm always a little bit nervous when I recommend bands. I mean, we started talking about Stone Fury one time, and I'm like, I love them so much that I'm a little bit nervous to tell people.
One time?
Okay, sorry. The video we did.
Yes.
On Kingdom Come. Because I know there's a really good chance that people are going to hate it. Like Let Them Talk, their second album. Yes. I just know there's a good chance people are going to hate it. So I'm a little especially because I love it so much.
Right.
This one, if you're into 80s metal, if you're into heavy metal, if you're into hard rock, I have a very hard time thinking that you're not going to fall in love with this album if you haven't heard it before. I'm very confident about this one in a way that I am not with other things.
I believe EZO is one of those bands that, if you like kind of like, it's an acquired taste, right? I think. But if you like certain things, if you're listening to this channel and you like, Metallica and some of these hard 80s stuff, this is going to be a nice addition to your palette and repertoire of music. Because if you haven't listened to it, once again, this is one of Gary's favorite. Just saying.
Here It Comes is amazing. Here it comes.
I mean, the playing again, I
Walk Alone.
That's
is great.
another super great song.
My favorite song on the album right there, Destroyer. Destroyer on leather wings. The way he sings it, it's so
really so good. I mean, think about that. I mean, on leather wings. First of all, these guys didn't speak English when they recorded this. They were like translating. Okay,
if they sing them in Reggie, they talk a little bit about it.
I know. It's just I get excited. I don't get excited about a lot of stuff, but this is one of the bands.
We could talk about this one every week because I owe it to you because it would have gone right past me.
You're welcome.
So for all the stuff I ever recommended to you, if it was 500 things, this one is good enough that it's like anyway, it's so amazing. Big changes.
That's kind of a repetitive song.
If there's anyone on here that I'm like, that's the one.
It's because it's really repetitive. I think that was kind of more of a filler, but it's still good.
It's okay, but it's just then Kiss of Fire. Oh, Kiss of Fire.
Yeah, it's pretty good. When he says fire, it's just...
It's his voice, man.
It's his voice that makes it sound so good. And there's a video out there, for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, you can actually... Kiss of Fire was like their single off of this.
It's not the strong... Which blows me away because it's not the strongest song. Like, why did you pick that one? I think probably somebody thought, well, that one has kind of hooky. It's like, yeah, I guess. I mean, because you can picture that. If which one on this album is going to be hooky, maybe that one.
Or get radio play.
Yeah. But House of 1,000 Pleasures is such a... Okay, anyway. Yeah. And Desiree. It's great.
Desiree, which I said is kind of like a punk one because it's so... I mean, the beat on that, I don't know, they set the tempo at like 150 and said, go, or something like that. It's really kind of...
The album is front to back...
just strong.
And there's Gene Simmons right there, produced by Gene Simmons. And he, if I'm not mistaken, one of these... So when we talked about doing this, one of the things we do on this channel, obviously a lot, is we go find old record reviews in newspapers. And I thought...
From that era,
and I wanted to do... I've wanted to do this one for a while, but I thought, I'm not going to find anything. It's going to be hard to find something on EZO. And the reality of it is, there's not a lot.
Not a lot.
But I did find a couple.
It's
and
awesome.
They're actually pretty interesting. And so I just did search on EZO... Japan, because there's all kinds of other things that have those three letters, and I thought this is going to be forever before I find something. And I found a couple things. It's not very long, but you will find this interesting, especially if you like this stuff. Okay, so the first one, this is from the Morning Call, August 14th, 1987. And the headline is EZO Heavy Metal Made in Japan. And then there's a picture of the guys right there. Again,
they look cool.
With the crazy, it wasn't just teased hair. It's crazy hair. It's Robert Smith kind of stuff.
Yeah, it looks, dude, it's so cool.
Okay, so here we go. Oh no, as Mr. Bill would say. That was a weird reference, isn't it?
The way to start.
Yeah. Mr. Bill from man, anyway. First, the Japanese steal the U.S. steel business, and now they're banging away in hopes of capturing a sizable chunk of another American industry. Heavy metal music.
All right.
Thanks in large part to bands like Loudness, Fallout, and most recently, EZO. The land of the rising sun is venturing where Orientals have not gone before.
It's probably not politically correct.
I was going to say, I'm just the messenger.
We're just reading.
Just reading. This is 1987. It's not that long ago.
PC, no.
But this is the way. This is what they said. Okay. Like their automotive and steel business counterparts, the Japanese heavy metal merchants are aiming squarely at mainstream America, in EZO's case, the teenage market. EZO, which performs tonight at the Music Hall, Allentown, and on Monday at Pulsations Glen Mills near Philadelphia, apparently has struck a chord with its Gene Simmons produced self-titled album on Geffen Records. EZO is the four pieces third LP, but its first American release. So it's got to be referring to the Flatbacker version of this band. Taro, EZO's bass player, was more than eager to talk about the band's emergence and finger the reason for the group's budding success in the American marketplace. Now, this is interesting to me when I hear this, because before I met you, I really had not heard of them at all. And when they say budding, I mean, they were on Geffen Records.
Yeah,
but I still
nice label.
But they weren't. But
I mean, that's what Guns N' Roses was on.
Yeah,
it came out.
And I felt pretty connected to music at the time, and I didn't know. And they're sitting here like, well, yeah, they're blowing up in the United States. I'm like, really? Because I heard of, I was into everything, and I didn't know who they were.
Yeah, just one of these that fall between the cracks, and I do feel they are absolutely underappreciated.
Yeah, and maybe I'm the idiot, and everybody watching this channel knew who they were, and I just was, because I was definitely didn't know everything.
Well, you were plugged in.
I was fairly plugged in at the time. Okay, originalities, the 24-year-old said in a Japanese accent. In Japan, there are many heavy metal bands, many Japanese bands just copy U.S. bands. They don't have originalities.
Okay.
This is not the kind of band that can come to the U.S., make a record, and tour like us. Maybe they will someday get strong originalities. Then in the future, I hope many Japanese bands come here and be successful.
So they know they're trailblazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, and it gets back to what we said a second ago. You look at Loudness. I love Loudness, but
they weren't original.
Obviously, they're like, how do we be one of these American heavy metal bands?
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. Well said.
Of course, before they can dominate the American heavy metal market, the Japanese have to rely on good old American know-how. Enter Simmons, formerly of Kiss, producer of EZO.
Formerly. That's weird. But yeah, I got it.
I read this earlier and I didn't notice that. Formerly of Kiss.
Right.
Huh. Yeah. Well, this is just some reporter.
Yeah.
But
it's odd.
Quick tangent. 1987. Yes, Kiss was making records. Yes, they were selling records and doing okay with it. But Paul Stanley was running, and the reason on Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits that Paul is out front and Gene is back a little bit was Paul basically saying, "I'm running the show because Gene is off
he's
doing
in Hollywood.
something." Yeah. And so you can, there's something to that, formerly of Kiss, because Gene was kind of like, off doing his, well, he's off doing this.
Right.
Okay.
Filming Runaway.
Yes, that's right. Okay, dude, quote, terrible. When we were in junior high school, we saw Kiss on TV, Taro said, in recalling what was common teen experience when rock acts like Peter Frampton, Deep Purple, and Kiss were being promoted in Japan.
Sure.
We thought he was very wild, like an animal or something, not a human being. That's interesting coming from Japan, because that was when Kiss went to Japan. Right. They were superheroes.
Last time I checked, Godzilla and all that stuff is from Japan.
It's from Japan.
Come on, man.
Yep. Godzilla and all the other monsters that fought Godzilla over the years.
Right.
Simmons listened to EZO's two speed metal albums recorded under the name Flatbacker, right here, and chose the elements he felt would be successful in America. Quote, I wanted to work with the band after I heard one riff, Simmons has been quoted as saying. I said, anybody with a riff like that is good, and that's got to be the riff we've already talked about.
House of a
Thousand Pleasures. If you have never heard House of a Thousand Pleasures, wait till this is over, of course, or pause this and go do it. Just do yourself a favor and listen to just even the first 5 seconds, that riff.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But the whole song's great. Okay. They had powerful, they had mysterious, they had fast.
All true.
The notorious Kiss tongue flasher set of EZO. They are as good or better than most musicians I have worked with. Unquote.
I also agree with that.
Yeah. Then Taro comes back in. He proved very gentle and he understands us deeply, Taro said approvingly. He was always trying to explain his opinion and willing to listen to ours. He picked up some of our good things. He listened to our first 2 albums and saw our promo video. He liked our energy and our, you guessed it, originalities.
Mm-hmm.
EZO decided to settle on the basic things that make rock and roll go, like simple rhythms and melodic hooks. Masaki, the band's 23-year-old vocalist, who is one of the greatest metal vocalists of that era, for sure, is the band's chief songwriter. But he needed help with writing English lyrics. Words and speech patterns just don't translate easily. EZO recorded its album phonetically, but the band members, which include 24-year-old guitarist Shoyo and 23-year-old drummer Hiro, have been undergoing intensive English and pronunciation lessons for the last 18 months.
Interesting. Yeah.
Quote, Masaki has learned English more, Taro said, making it immediately clear that the rest of the band is in the same boat. On this album, some other guy, Taro couldn't remember his name, helped us with the lyrics. We can think structures, but we don't know American culture, American feelings. And by the way, that was one of the problems, in my opinion, with like loudness. Was it Thunder in the East? Is that what the one that had
Crazy Nights?
Crazy Nights. Isn't that the one?
I can't
Rock and
remember.
roll, crazy nights. We are the hero, or you are the heroes tonight. I mean, you listen to it and you're like, this is a rockin' tune, but I can tell that this is like
the lyrics are kind of very simplistic.
They're simplistic. It's more like heavy metal, the most common things you can possibly say in a heavy metal song, and we'll just pile them all in this tune. You know, that was what it was like, and whatever.
And I think
I'm not trying to go speak Japanese. You know, they're coming over here,
no way.
So it was great. I'm just saying that you could kind of tell.
But you know, what I'm taking out of this article is, dude, they're like vested. We're coming over. We're 18 months learning a new language, and we're here to give it the best swing possible.
And it's interesting because if you see any of the interviews, because there are a few you can find online with these guys, and they're speaking in English, and it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, it amazingly. So you're right. They were dedicated. EZO has decided to start off slow and try to build momentum. The band hopes to perform mostly to audiences of between 1,000 and 2,000 on their current 17-city tour.
That's cool.
As for assimilating American culture, quote, I like American girls, Taro volunteered, and good times. And then it basically tells you that the concert is at 8:30. Okay, so now I've got two very, very short album reviews.
Okay.
Now, I usually
that was a good interview.
It was great. And it tells you a little bit about the language part, too.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that.
Yeah, because I want to say around the same time, Gene was working with, I want to say Black and Blue, right? Yeah. And I think either the singer or Tommy Thayer, but I think it was the singer that was helping with the lyrics on this.
Oh, is that right? Jamie St. James?
Yes. We can take a look and see if...
I'm a big Jamie St. James fan.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be interesting because I would think that we didn't look on the inside. Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do that here in a little bit.
Okay. That would be really cool because I love Jamie St. James, by the way.
Okay. Black and Blue.
Black and Blue. All right. EZO. And by the way, this guy, when you look at the rating system of excellent, good, fair, and poor, he gives it excellent, the big star. Another Japanese heavy metal band tries its luck in North America. EZO takes its name from the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido, which was once called EZO. But that is where the band's own cultural background ends, like other recent... By the way, I didn't know that. I didn't know where they got the name. Matter of fact, I really had never spent much time other than thinking, like, what the heck is this? Anyway, that's where apparently it comes from.
Just for the metal and their love of metal, I almost want to just go to Japan and just kind of like... see bands. That would be fun. I think that would be kind of like an awesome trip to just see what's happening out there. Because, you know, remember, we're big in Japan. Where's that from? You know, like a couple movies, you know, that always, we were huge in Japan.
And, yeah, it's kind of a running joke.
Right?
It's become a running joke.
Because
how many people, I mean, Cheap Trick, Budokan.
Right.
Bob Dylan, Budokan.
Right.
You know, there's so many bands.
Deep Purple, Kiss selling out for, you know, a week, the Beatles, you know, those
Iron Maiden. What's their live album? Made in Japan.
Right.
So
there's definitely that tie-in, right?
Yeah. By the way, a few years ago, one of my trips to Thailand, there was a live band at some place we were walking by, all Thai guys, and they were playing heavy metal, and the singer, long hair, freaking
rocking it. Yeah.
He was so good.
If I had hair, I'd be rocking it.
I sat there like watching, thinking, I can't believe. Yeah. But they were playing cover tunes, but they were nailing them. And it was all like American heavy metal. And they were
that amazing?
Great. Okay.
They love it over there.
Okay, here we go.
America's greatest export.
Yeah. Let's see. EZO, like other recent imports from Japan, EZO digests American metal, then brings it back to where it came from. The quartet draws on bands that were cornerstones during the headbanger boom in Japan during the 1970s, such as Kiss. EZO also, by the way, that's an interesting thing too, because the British invasion was us sending them blues and them repackaging it, sending it back. This is us creating heavy metal and then them repackaging it.
Yeah, and
smaller scale.
And I jokingly say America's greatest export, but I mean, you had a lot of bands out of Europe, like you just said, and add like the German bands like Scorpions and all that. I mean,
go down the line.
Metal was everywhere.
Even as recently as like Rammstein.
Yeah.
All that stuff is just taking what was created and just making it bigger and better.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
great stuff.
let's see.
That'd be fun too, going to one of those festivals.
Oh yeah, totally.
See you there soon.
We'll do it. We'll take the camera crew.
That's right.
The quartet draws on bands that were cornerstones during the headbanger boom in Japan. Oh, we already said that, didn't we? Kiss. EZO also looks like them. It may have been the grease paint makeup along with the familiar machine gun riffs that drew Gene Simmons to the house. Sorry, I read that wrong. Gene Simmons to the cause. He co-produces here.
Right.
One thing that can be said for EZO is that it still has the crazy edge its mentors had in the infancy of their careers, but lost soon after.
Amen.
Did you catch that?
Yes. Well said.
Yes.
Yeah, all the hooks and what made Kiss back in the day, first 3 albums, Alive, and even, through Alive 2, they kind of lost that. Music.
Almost all of them do.
Yeah, they all do, right? I think your creative flow is only so much.
And your angst.
Right. You can only be mad for so long, right?
You can only get that energy out, living
but
homeless,
you got
living on somebody's couch
like,
for so long.
Right? But you got bands like Metallica and stuff.
There are a few that manage
to create that energy and sustain it. That is also pretty incredible for those bands. Yeah, it's rare.
Then he goes on, nor is EZO entirely plagiarism. It weaves a thread of power pop into the mix, which provides structure to the songs that those outside the camp of diehard metal enthusiasts need. And that's the end of that one.
It's a good review.
Yeah. Okay.
It's positive, and it's true. I am a big fan. I think their songwriting, their musicianship, and they struggle, or, Masaki and his vocals, right? But that's what makes it cool. He doesn't pronounce some of the words, like we were saying, like fire, as we do, right? But that's what makes it so cool. And then I think their musicianship and their chops on this album is kind of like, okay, we're there. But I think the next album,
Fire.
Dude, it's so great. Even as heavy as they are, we talk about how production and bands, you have that room to breathe. I mean, here you've got just drumming that's bombastic and just huge, like sound. You got a bass player, Taro, who's holding down that low end, and he's got chops to spare, kind of like a Cliff Burton type, just holding it down, but yet he's ripping. And, Shoyo, the guitar player, dude, he can rip, but he's also tasteful and holds back. And I think here it's kind of like, I mean, again, looking at all the stuff, dude, the guy's got play. And we've already talked about Masaki's vocals. I mean, they are 4 pieces. And I think what I was getting at with the production is that there's enough air and space in the music. That's what makes it bigger. Because everything, all 3 pieces, plus his vocals, so all 4 pieces really complement each other because they're all doing something else, but yet at the same time, there's enough space in the music form. It's not like overly like layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of production. I think it's still raw enough, and they're just out there nailing it. It's good. It's not too much. It's not the Vinnie Vincent reference. Vinnie Vincent over-the-top production. You don't need that. Just have great songs, great songwriting, and you're rocking with your playing. And like he said, and you got great riffs. Yeah, it's a great,
and you throw that dude's,
recipe, right?
That dude's voice on top of all that stuff.
Yes,
and he's just it is just the music is just the definition of raw energy.
Yeah. So if I'm a drummer, I like these guys. If I'm a guitar player, I like these guys, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just shredding. Shoyo does not just shred. He's tasteful. And then the bass player, I like him too, and he's got a pretty big sound. You know, we talked about King's X, you know, how Doug has this big sound. He's got a pretty big sound because literally they're just a three-piece.
Go to the beginning, the very beginning of the album, and you have that riff. Yeah. But then before the song kicks in, because the guitarist and bassist are on top of each other,
right.
And bam,
you get punched in the face. It's great.
It is.
Dude, it is
it's
so good.
well thought out.
Yes, it's again good songwriting, right? I mean, you might want Gene will take credit for the producing. Yeah, I came up with that, probably.
Yeah.
And for $12,495, you could be my roadie. In 30-something years, right?
That's great.
So,
okay.
Had to throw that in there.
All right, so this one is a short, really short one, but it also just kind of adds a little bit to the other stuff we read. Okay. And it also happens to be one of the very few things I can find on this album in a newspaper.
Hey,
so
I as I said, I don't think these guys were as supported as maybe others. And I get it. You know, Geffen and, you know, you got to put your money what's going to sell. This is a little bit more of an acquired taste, right?
Well, I think you would like it the first time you hear it. It's just that there's probably only maybe a certain audience. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the audience isn't going to all get it at once, right? Because it was a little bit of a paradigm shift from what was going on.
Okay, that's true. Because it's hard because this really isn't reminiscent of much that was going on at the time, which is what you said earlier.
Right? What was coming out in 87 also on Geffen, you know, Aerosmith, I believe they were on Geffen with their Permanent Vacation.
Permanent Vacation was coming out,
right?
Yeah,
around that time. So was Guns N' Roses coming out at the same time, also on Geffen. You know, so if I'm Geffen executive, I'm like, these guys are kind of a little more out in left field, but they, you know, the kick butt. They're good.
We'll let them go see if they can
see
build
what
a
happens.
Following. And in the meantime, we have these other huge acts that are taking off like crazy, and we're going to promote those.
So where's your money going to go?
Put our money there. It's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. EZO, Geffen. What we have with EZO, not to be confused with WZZO, which I guess is a radio station, is a cross between Deep Purple and Black Sabbath.
Whoa.
That's good. Guess again. Gene Simmons of Kiss produced this disc. And one more mauling like this one. And he won't... Okay, let me read that again. Gene Simmons of Kiss produced this disc, and one more mauling like this one, and he won't be able to unfurl his tongue in public. EZO is what Japan was called many centuries ago, and the band from Nippon with that name is a non-English speaking, makeup-loving quartet. Suffice to say, Masaki vocals, Taro bass, Shoyo guitar, and Hiro drums have dreadful pronunciation difficulties with English. The band doesn't start doing anything musically until the second side on Big Changes, which was written by Brock Walsh. Nuff said. Now, I don't know anything about that. So this makes us... So this guy's...
It's a good segue.
This guy's not as impressed with it. So, okay. But when we get these, but that's kind of what that actually is what good when we do these things is to have that balance of the two different things. So let's find that really quickly. Here's all the lyrics. The inner sleeve just had that same kind of mask, two-sided.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
And then there's...
And I want to say I have that mask. Like I have like a patch. You know patches you'd put them on your denim jackets?
Yeah.
I had one from EZO. I want to say it's something I've not gotten rid of. You know? If I'll bring it in. It'll be in the studio.
Okay, that's
one of my things. Awesome. I've got that to go through, so
this is the one written by Brock Walsh, Big Changes, and coincidentally,
that's the one where we said the one that we're like, weakest. So see if James St. James is on any of those.
So I don't. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing.
I can't see from here, and my glasses, I don't know where they're at.
It all says Adam Mitchell.
Oh,
there it is. Dude, you know what? I think I knew this before, too.
And Adam Mitchell, wasn't he on... Didn't he do some writing with Gene on Creatures of the Night?
That may be. Honestly, I don't know.
You know, we talk about how we're old sometimes and how we remember things, and where'd that just come at him. But
now
go ahead.
that I see this, I remember this. Jamie St. James, House of a Thousand Pleasures. Of course he'd be on that one, which is one of the greatest songs ever. And I love Jamie St. James. And
Mr. Midnight.
So he clearly helped on those two. So you're right about that. I'd forgotten all about this.
Right.
Jamie St. James helped with
the lyrics
on those songs.
Kind of like what Taro said. He's like putting emotions and things and connecting the story in English. Yeah, okay. A bit of a challenge. So maybe Jamie was kind of coming in. Here's what I want to do. These words work for this. Yeah, Mr. Midnight. That's such a good. That's a great kind of slower song. No ballads on this. No. That's also
no power
kind
ballad.
of right. That's also kind of the times. Oh, we need a power ballad. No. I mean, these guys, like I said, high energy.
Yeah. This was just, it was awesome start to finish. And anyway, I've been wanting to talk about this a while. So if you're familiar with this album, we want to hear back from you because we've got a couple different people here, a couple different reviews. One of them loves it, one of them not so much. And it's just it's always interesting to hear these things. And it's hard for me to imagine somebody, if you're into hard rock or into heavy metal, not loving this. Just hard to picture that. So sometimes when you hear these reviews, is it possible that this person was not?
I mean, even the bad one is comparing them to Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, which
he
if
does
I've
that.
got a band and somebody's like, you guys kind of are a cross between Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, I'm going, oh yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
heavy, hooky, and and just kind of like, Ozzy-ish maybe. Like, this is great. I'd be loving a review like that. Okay, maybe not the rest of it, but
So anyway,
number
1, did you know about this before we did the video? Number 2, if you did, what did you think about it?
Right.
Number 3, do you relate to any of these things that were said in these particular reviews? And was there new information here that you hadn't heard? Especially if you'd never heard them before, what we'd really like is for you to listen.
Yes.
And then come back to the video.
Yeah, give us your feedback.
And throw it down in the
comments. Do you think I'm out of my mind loving these guys so much? I do love these guys so much. Like I said, on the drive over here, I said I found the EZO Fire CD, threw it in my car, and dude, that was 211 just playing. I love these guys.
Yeah.
I love these guys. This is one of my favorites.
In my exercise stuff, when I would go running, Destroyer was always. I was always in my rotation.
Right.
It's energy.
On what
it's
kind
awesome.
of wings?
On leather wings.
Leather wings.
The way he says Destroyer. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
It's really great.
Okay.
Hope you guys like it.
If you haven't heard it, listen, come back, comment.
Totally.
You want to know
you got homework
what you
this
think
week.
about it. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this isn't mainstream.
Yeah.
So obviously, this is like a deep cut right here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is, we can talk about the same bands over and over, but, we're kind of branching out a little bit more. And this is something that, as I've already stated plenty, something I like.
And there's a lot of these that we have, but this is one of the best. There's a lot of these that we have that we love, but this is one of the best.
I'm glad you think so.
So
hope you guys do too.
So what we want, so if you want to do that and kind of keep this stuff going, it's really helpful to share the video with other people, and not just for the YouTube algorithm, but we're also working on doing other things with the channel, bringing other people in. I mean, hiring a few people. And it helps to get people that we want to be involved with this interested when they see how many people are following the channel. It helps. It just does. So maybe you don't like to follow channels or don't follow a lot of channels. It'd be really helpful to just hit that follow here because it just helps this one. It helps us get done some of the things that we want to get done. That's it. It helps us get done some of the things to bring more cool stuff, hopefully, that you enjoy to you. So, and we happen to have a
It's awesome.
It happens to be fun on this end.
Yeah, we love talking about this.
So anyway,
thanks for bringing this up, man. This is great.
Yeah, I knew you'd want to do this, and I've been wanting to for a while. And this is credit to you for discovering this when you did, because it was this has been such a big deal for me too. So anyway, with that, have yourself a fantastic day.